Have you ever found yourself feeling a bit queasy after indulging in a heavy, overly sweet dessert? We've all been there. But what if I told you there's a dessert out there that's not just light and refreshing, but also a true delight for your taste buds? A dessert that won't leave you feeling overstuffed, but rather satisfied and invigorated. Welcome to our cooking channel, where we strive to create dishes that are not only delicious but also gentle on your stomach. Today, we're making a dessert that perfectly fits this bill, the Deconstructed Lemon Meringue Tart. Stick around and let's embark on this culinary journey together. Imagine a dessert that combines the tartness of fresh lemons with the sweetness of meringue, all in a unique deconstructed presentation. Picture the Deconstructed Lemon Meringue Tart, a delightful sweet treat that serves four. Made with fresh lemon curd, a crumbly biscuit base, and a glossy meringue topping. This dessert requires just 20 minutes of preparation and 10 minutes of cooking time. It's a culinary masterpiece and a feast for the senses. Stay tuned to learn how to create this stunning dessert. Before we dive into our next step, let's take a moment to introduce some of our favorite characters that inspire our creativity in the kitchen. Meet Ms. Belle Pum, a character as vibrant and unique as our deconstructed tart. Ms. Belle Pum, a name that must be spoken in full, is a symbol of creativity and adventure. She has a sister named Hauve, who is round and made entirely of candy floss, a delightful treat that matches her sweet personality. Hauve has 3 children, each with their own unique charm. Pole, the male polar bear, represents strength and resilience. Nuddles, the female golden bear and the youngest, embodies innocence and curiosity. And then there's Zoe, who with her short yellow pigtails is a character made of candy floss, reflecting her soft, sweet and delightful nature. But every story needs a villain, and ours is no different. Enter Horse Magorse, Ms. Belle Pum's arch nemesis. Always trying to paint our beloved characters as mischievous and outrageous, he's the goody two-shoes we love to hate. But in the eyes of Jane Fitzcostellia and the D-Bell Company, creators of these wonderful characters in this video, he adds a dash of spice to our sweet tale. Just like our deconstructed tart, our characters are unique, a blend of sweet and tart. They inspire us to create dishes that are not just delicious, but also tell a story. Now, let's get back to our dessert story and move on to the next step, preparing the crumb. The first step in creating this deconstructed tart is making the lemon curd. For this, you'll need 3 large egg yolks, 100 grams of sugar, 60 milliliters of fresh lemon juice, the zest of 1 lemon, and 50 grams of butter. If you're going for a vegan version, you can substitute the egg yolks and butter with vegan alternatives. Start by whisking together the egg yolks, sugar, lemon juice, and zest in a saucepan over medium heat. The key here is to stir constantly. This ensures even cooking and prevents the mixture from curdling. After about 5 minutes, you'll notice the mixture thickening. That's your cue to remove it from the heat. Next, stir in the butter until it's fully incorporated and the mixture is smooth. Now transfer your lemon curd to a bowl to let it cool. The butter gives the curd a creamy texture and a luxurious sheen that's simply irresistible. Once the curd is cool, move on to the next step, the crumb. Next, we'll make the crumb, which will mimic the crust of a traditional tart. This step is all about achieving that crumbly, buttery texture that makes every bite of a tart so delightful. Start by taking your crushed biscuits or graham crackers. You'll need roughly 150 grams. Now to this, you're going to add 50 grams of melted butter. The butter is what binds the crumbs together and gives them that delicious, rich flavor. Give the mixture a good stir until it starts to resemble wet sand. You'll know it's ready when you can squeeze a handful and it holds its shape. Now, spread this mixture on a baking tray and pop it into a preheated oven. You'll want to bake it at 180 degrees Celsius or gas mark 4 for about 5 to 7 minutes, or until it turns a lovely golden brown. After the crumb is cool, it's time to make the meringue. Before we move forward, let's take a moment to reflect on a rather interesting anecdote involving our main character, Ms. Belle Pum. This story, as retold by Grandpoof, is a testament to the lengths Ms. Belle Pum would go to assert her dominance. One Sunday, a peculiar guest, Ms. Woolly Magoo, joined the Pum family for lunch. With a waddle like a duck and a smell reminiscent of cabbage gone wrong, she was an unforgettable character. As everyone settled in, sauntered Horse Magorse, causing a stir that drove Miss Belle Pum into a fit of rage. In her ire, Miss Belle Pum orchestrated a lunch that no one would forget. She permitted the pigs to contribute to a soup that was far from conventional, allowed them to fill glasses with a beverage not found on any menu, and finally she let them serve a dessert that was a far cry from chocolate pudding. This was her revenge on Horse Magorse. The aftermath was a scene straight out of a horror film. Guests were so appalled they fell ill, making sounds of distress that echoed around the room. Mrs. Belle Pum's revenge had taken a turn she hadn't expected, leading to an unfortunate series of events. Horse Magorse, who had been the target of this retaliation, ended up covered in cowpea, a result of his curiosity about Miss Belle Pum's unusual lunch. As we return to our recipe, remember, it's always best to keep our cooking adventures fun, friendly and free of revenge. Now comes the fun part, making the meringue. Meringue, that sweet, airy delight, is simpler than you might think. It starts with egg whites, pure and unadulterated. You'll want to whisk these up until you see soft peaks forming, like tiny mountain ranges in a frothy white landscape. A mixer will do the job in no time, but if you're feeling adventurous or want a bit of a workout, you can certainly do it by hand. Once you've achieved those soft peaks, it's time for the sugar. Gradually add it in, bit by bit, while continuing to beat the egg whites. As you incorporate the sugar, you'll notice the peaks becoming glossier, shinier, stiffer. This is how you know your meringue is ready. For our plant-based friends, you can absolutely do this with aquafaba. Just remember to add a pinch of cream of tartar for stability. With the meringue ready, we can now assemble the deconstructed tart. The final step is assembling the deconstructed tart. We'll begin with our rich, tangy lemon curd. Spoon a generous dollop onto your plate. This will serve as the base of our dessert, the heart of our tart, if you will. Next, it's time to scatter our golden buttery biscuit crumb. Aim to sprinkle it around the lemon curd, mimicking the crust of a traditional tart. The idea here is to create texture and contrast, so don't be afraid to get creative with your crumb placement. Now, we're going to top our curd with the meringue. You can pipe it for a more refined look or simply spoon it on for a rustic feel. The meringue should be light and airy, forming a cloud-like contrast to the curd and crumb. For those who desire a bit of a culinary adventure, you can lightly caramelize the meringue with a blowtorch. This will give it a lovely toasted effect and add a hint of smokiness to the dessert. Finally, it's time to garnish and serve. Decorate with fresh mint leaves and delicate lemon zest curls. They add an elegant touch and a pop of colour to our deconstructed tart. Here's a chef's tip. For an artistic flair, create a streak of lemon curd across the plate and sprinkle the crumb asymmetrically. Serving on black plates can also provide a dramatic contrast that will make your dessert stand out. And there you have it, a deconstructed lemon meringue tart that's as delicious as it is striking. As our story comes to a close, let's revisit the unforgettable event that took place at the end of the infamous Sunday lunch. Remember Horse Magorse, the Pum's family nemesis? He made a grand entrance, uninvited. Miss Belle Pum, the matriarch of the Pum family, was livid. She had meticulously prepared a feast, and there he was, the intruder, ready to spoil the harmony. But Miss Belle had a plan. As an act of revenge, she served a shocking menu. The main course, a deconstructed tart, an avant-garde take on the traditional lemon meringue tart. The Pum family and guests were taken aback, their faces a mix of confusion and curiosity. The idea of a deconstructed tart was unheard of in their culinary circles. The reactions were priceless. Some guests were delighted by the innovation, while others, including Horse Magorse, were less than impressed. Chaos ensued with heated debates about the nature of food and tradition. In the midst of the pandemonium, a guest, overwhelmed by the drama, fainted. The scene was chaotic, to say the least, and so our tale ends on a rather messy note. Remember, cooking should be a joyous activity, not a battlefield. Use your creativity to push boundaries and to bring joy to others. But always remember, the reactions you get may vary wildly. Until next time, happy cooking. In the wake of the chaos, we find ourselves in the aftermath of the unforgettable Sunday lunch. As the dust settles, the guests are left stunned, their stomachs turning from the unspeakable menu served by Miss Belle Pum. The scene is one of absolute horror, with the guests looking more like survivors of a gruesome battle than attendees of a family lunch. The sight of the once pristine dining room now resembles a war zone, with remnants of the unique dishes scattered all over. The air hangs heavy with a nauseating mix of smells, a grim reminder of the culinary catastrophe that just unfolded. The guests, still in shock, stagger around, trying to comprehend the events that just transpired. The shock on their faces is palpable. One by one they begin to leave, unable to bear the sight and smell of the dining room any longer. The sound of retching and groaning fills the room as the guests make their hasty exits. Horse McGorse, the Nemesis, is left standing alone, covered in cow pee, a grim expression on his face. The once arrogant man is now a pitiful sight, a stark contrast to his grand entrance. As for Miss Belle Pum, she watches the scene unfold with a satisfied smile. Her revenge is complete. As the screen fades to black, we're left with a chilling reminder of the power of revenge, the importance of respect, and the unpredictable nature of cooking. Until next time, viewers, remember to always respect the chef,